What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
And today we're back at it to answer more questions from you guys in another spine-tingling, enticing episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. That is what Monkey Boy 7 or VII has done. He asks, have Catachans ever been chosen to become a Space Marine? So Catachan Space Marines, is it a thing? Not really, no.
No.
Well, like straight up no.
Yeah.
Because like the thing about the Imperium is that each individual planet is its own, it's controlled by its own kind of like organization or ordo. The Adeptus, or the Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, control recruitment worlds that are solely theirs. Catachan is not a recruitment world for any Space Marine chapter. Catachan is actually under the control of the Astra Militarum, which is the Imperial Guard, and that's where they draw Catachan jungle fighters. And then, but if you want to say like, oh, are there jungle Space Marine fighters? There is. There is the Mantis Warriors are one of them. There's also the
Blood Jaguars?
Blood Jaguars. I think that's a fan-made.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But check it out. We have a 40 facts on it. They're really badass, and they are kind of just jungle fighters. There's another one called, they're like the sneaky Space Marines, like something Raptors.
The Raptor Space Marine chapter?
No, not the Raptors. I think there's something else. But yeah, there's multiple jungle fighting Space Marine chapters, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and like we were talking about with the Blood Jaguars, it's very easy to just, homebrew, create your own fan lore for chapter Space Marines that do get conscripts from Catachan.
Yeah. And yeah, that's where the fun begins, where you get to create your own Catachan style type of world, where it's a dead world, or no, what is it called? Like a
Pharaoh world.
Pharaoh world.
Not Will Ferrell or Colin Farrell.
No.
Like Pharaoh as in grrr.
Yeah. But
yeah. Also, it's like, because we've had questions where like, oh, how come they don't take like named characters from the Imperial Guard and make them into Space Marines? The thing about named characters or these seasoned warriors that you expect Catachans to be is that they're all grown-up men.
Mm-hmm.
And to be a Space Marine, they have to be prepubescent boys to undergo undergo the gene seed implantations to survive to become Space Marines.
Yeah, so it's a process.
Yeah, I mean, there are exceptions, like with Luther and the stuff that happened with the Lion and on Caliban, but those Space Marines that were men that became Space Marines, that didn't end up too well.
It never does, because Corferon and, what's the other dude?
Erebus.
Yeah, they were both adults when they became Space Marines, and look what happened to them.
Awesome guys.
Yeah.
Face tattoos, that's what happened to them.
If you have a face tattoo, you're a traitor, instantly.
Yeah, instantly.
But yeah, those were
the questions for today, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye. This next question is by Luis Saona. Is it possible for a Space Marine to disobey an order? And if they do, how does the chapter deal with it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it happens a lot, and there's like disciplinary guides for a chapter master, a captain, or anybody in the Space Marines to kind of discipline the individual battle brother. They're disciplined, they're stoic, but at the same time, they are kind of, I would say, they have free will.
Yes.
So if they deviate from like the standard Codex Astartes, or they deviate from like the way the normal Space Marines think, it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happened during the Horus Heresy. We've seen that happen again with the Badab War. We've seen Space Marines not go chaos, just go renegade, go rogue.
Yep.
Maybe that's what happened with the Minotaurs. And they went away from like listening to the God Emperor or whatever, and now they're listening to the High Lords.
Yeah. And the key there is also just normally if it's just a battle brother, the discipline is there to correct that. But if it's a chapter master that's deviating from the code, or if it's a captain that's deviating from the code, that's when like you break off and create renegade factions, because that's Lufuron. He kind of did that.
Yeah.
That spider dude from the
Lamenters.
Yeah, I don't think it was the Lamenters.
Soul Drinkers.
Yep, Soul Drinkers. Yep.
And it also depends. Like if the person's being unruly, they might just go talk to their chaplain, and he'll have to hit him with the grace of God.
Yeah. Grace of the Emperor.
Yeah. They'll make him kneel on some bottle caps, put out his hands, and then slap him with a ruler.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my mom said happened to her when she was going to church school.
Yeah. And basically the Imperium is church.
It is, yeah. Those nuns did not play.
Nope. Next question comes from Xanos Carthage. Maybe you already did this in another video and I missed it. Either way, I'll ask again. Please ignore if you were planning on answering it anyways. How do you think you'd make a Lehman Russ data sheet in 9th edition as it is today? Thank you so much.
I think they've got it down packed with Gilliman. Start with Gilliman as a base and then just make it more flavorful. Instead of giving him the Sword of the Emperor, call it the Spear of Russ. And then just basically plug and play.
Yeah.
Keep the stats the same. Maybe change like the range of its movement or lower its toughness or something. But keep the base stats of Gilliman and then play around with it.
Yeah, that's good advice. And kind of like just talk to your play group and see what they're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Because I do understand that sometimes like the point value of Gilliman is already pretty high. So like changing a little aspect that you think is not a big deal, like the range, might end up being a big range or might be a big deal. Play test it, talk to your play group and be like, hey, are you guys still comfortable with me playing this Lehman Russ character that we kind of made up together? Mm-hmm. But yeah.
And then they'll tell you, dude, we haven't played 40K in over a year.
Yeah. and then you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always keep in mind though that just add wolf to everything for Space Wolves and you're good.
That's it.
Yeah. Next question.
This one is by Terry James Robert. What do the Space Marines do with the spent shell casings? Are they recycled or just left behind for the locals to use?
That's actually a really good question. And I think for the most part, there are chapter serfs that go around and collect them because it is supposed to be like a holy relic type of deal. Yeah. But not always.
Right. I mean, it depends on the battlefield. Why are they fighting on this world? Because if they're fighting to defend it, then yeah, eventually there will be like a chapter serf, or even the planetary governor will go into the battlefield and kind of like recuperate lost stuff, or even you could have pirates swoop in after a battle and take armor and weapons like that to sell in the black market.
Yeah, which seems to be a thing for like factions of the Imperium that are not so like loyal, I guess. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially when you start playing Dark Heresy.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a lot of fluff for you to play with.
Mm-hmm. And then think of it this way. If you're fighting off a Chaos Invasion and then you just dip on the planet and you have a whole bunch of dead Chaos Space Marines there, like...
Yeah.
Exterminatus that bitch.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
Next question comes from Kinky Koala. How does lore get added to the setting and how often? So usually it's either a codex, a big event, kind of like what's the latest event going on? It's not the Psychic Awakening, right?
No, because that was like near the end of last edition. Usually at the beginning of every edition, you'll have like the core rulebook that comes out with lore on what's pushing the narrative forward. So, for example, the Silent King coming back.
Yeah.
Now we have like the Cicatrix Maledictum, the campaign, what was it called?
All the different campaigns that have come out for
like the kill teams and stuff like that, like the orcs, Alterius, the orcs against the Deathcore Krieg.
Yeah.
Krieg. Yeah, so the lore does come out pretty often, and just because something comes out, you have to really look at it almost like without taking it at 100%, because it could always be skewed because it's like, oh, well, this was what the perception of like the Tau were seeing, but actually it was this and that and whatnot.
Yeah, they did a really good job of that during the Sisters of Battle, when like the Sisters of Battle came out and they were trying to help their whole like sector or whatever sectors.
Yeah, all the maiden worlds and whatnot.
Yeah, there was still like a backstory for each Xeno race that was a little bit different and told different stories.
Right, because I mean, when you look at it, it's like, oh, the Sisters of Battle are here to reclaim their lost worlds. They're here to provide aid, and it's like, well, the Tau were here first, and they were recruiting for like the greater good, and they were doing it diplomatically. And it was the Sisters of Battle that actually took it and became the offenders. Yeah. So it's like, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, and it's like there is none.
Yeah. It's like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
Right. Some people have bigger tongues.
The world may never know.
Some people just crack it.
Who cracks it?
To get to the center.
If you crack it, comment down in the comment section below.
Yeah. You're probably like, whenever you play video games and stuff, you go for like the big hammer, the big sword. You go unga bunga.
for the Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably playing space. No, what would it be? What is like a Space Marine chapter that plays with Thunderhammers?
Salamanders.
Oh, Salamanders, yeah. Master
Thunderhammers,
Forged.
yeah. Power fists.
This is gonna be the last question. Actually, do you have one?
This one's by World 777. Who do you think is the little girl that managed to pass through Zeech's labyrinth?
So the story is that it's the Emperor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Emperor reincarnating as a little girl, or not reincarnating,
no,
but
just-
like taking the form of a little girl and a dog.
Yeah. Why a dog?
Why not?
Yeah, that's true. Emperor's best friend. Man's best friend.
It's cute.
It is, yeah. What's cuter than a little girl and a dog going through fucking
The labyrinth of
hell-spawned
Zeech.
labyrinth of Zeech? Yeah.
Where everything's topsy-turvy.
Yeah, tentacles and beaks and birds that are fish and fish that are birds.
Maybe it's an allegory for Alice in Wonderland,
That it could be, yeah.
but I don't know how that dog comes in.
That story came out like in the 80s or something like that, no?
I think so, yeah.
They were on stuff on the 80s.
I hope you guys were on stuff as you watched us. Thank you guys so much for listening and hanging out with us. We'll talk tomorrow.
That's right. This has been The Sound Alchemist with,
Gershwan.
and we are out.
Oh, what if you could put my freedom